What's up? Welcome back to the Mindshare Podcast. Now, I got a question for you. And I want you to actually think about this one for a second right now. How much of what you're doing in a day, like how much of what you're chasing right now, do you actually want? Like seriously, think about it. Think about the car that you want. Maybe the new house that you want, the cottage that you want. Maybe it's a watch, maybe it's a bag, maybe it's clothes, maybe it's vacations. Think about your business goals. Maybe you think you need to build a team. Maybe you want to earn new awards. How about your social media following that you're chasing? Or the recognition that you're chasing? Like, whatever it is that you're chasing right now. How much of that stuff do you genuinely want? And how much of it's actually made its way on the list because you just keep watching what everybody else has? So we've all heard the line, keeping up with the Joneses. Your neighbor gets a new car and suddenly you're looking at your car differently. Or they renovate their kitchen, now you're standing in yours thinking it could probably use some work. Or somebody's going to Italy for 2 weeks. You see the pictures and all of a sudden you're wondering like, we should travel more. Meanwhile, 20 minutes earlier, you were perfectly happy. Nothing about your life changed. You just saw theirs. And straight up, social media's taken this whole idea of keeping up with the Joneses and put it on steroids. Years ago, the Joneses were literally just the people on your street. You knew what your neighbors drove. You saw when they put the pool in. Maybe you went over for dinner and saw the new kitchen. But holy shit, today the Joneses are everywhere. Like they're in your pocket all day long. And every time you open up your phone, you're exposed to hundreds of people showing you whatever version of their life they want you to see. See, it's funny, right? Like, when was the last time you saw somebody post their credit card statement, that like right after the vacation? Or the argument, they had in the car before walking in the restaurant and taking that perfect family photo. You don't see the business loans. You don't see the 3 months they barely made any money, or the listing that expired, or the prospect that told them to go, fly a kite. But you see the trip, you see the car, you see the sold sign, you see the award, the champagne, the new house, the big announcement. And then we start comparing our entire life to these tiny little snapshots of theirs. This is episode number 399. So, seriously, let's talk about this, right? And I'm calling it out. I mean, I want to call it out. I want to try to help us all ease our minds a little bit. Because I really do think this is messing with people way more than we realize. Like, life just keeps getting more expensive. I was having this conversation the other day with somebody up at the cottage, and we were saying, how the dollar that people are making, even though people are making more money in some cases, it just doesn't equate back to what the cost of goods are when it comes to that dollar, right? Like the value isn't the same. Like it's nowhere even close. You work your tail off to get to make money, but that money can be blown on a freaking sandwich, Look, the economy's been difficult. Past few years, the economy's been real difficult. The real estate market's been real difficult. And I know just across the board, a lot of people aren't making the money they were a few years ago. It's just, it is what it is. And there's actually been a slight theme to our conversations over the last few episodes, around people questioning themselves, their businesses, questioning their careers. Like, is this business fit for me, right? If you didn't listen to that episode, go back. This is 399. So we got, I think 397 might have talked to that. But anyways, go backwards in the list there. We know that things are different. Okay, people are looking at everything right now. Again, question the careers, question how much they're spending and whether they're making the right decisions on a lot of stuff. And remember, again, that question we talked about recently that I keep hearing everywhere I go. And it's that thing where people are saying like, so, hey, how are things out there right now? See, because every time somebody asks that question, again, they want to know how everybody else is doing. And part of the reason people are asking is because they're trying to find out how they're doing. Like, where do they stand in the grand scheme of everything? Because people are feeling it, and people are feeling it everywhere. You're feeling it. And even if you're doing well, You're still feeling it because it's just not what it was the same way it was a few years ago. And while all this is happening, we're spending hours every single week staring at all these, carefully manufactured versions of everybody else's lives, which is probably the worst possible thing we could be doing when we're already questioning how well we're doing ourselves. Think about that, right? You could actually be having a pretty good year. Bills are getting paid, your kids are healthy, things are good at home, you've got some money in the bank, business is moving in the right direction, maybe even got some really exciting stuff coming up. Like life is actually pretty good. Then all of a sudden you spend 20 minutes scrolling through Instagram and somehow it doesn't feel like anything's enough anymore. How crazy is that? Like, look, and I'll tell you, I'm not immune to this either. I catch myself doing it all the time. Well, I don't want to say all the time. I've been trying to really control that social media spend, that time investment this past year, which has been fantastic for the mind. But straight up, I'll see another speaker on a bigger stage, somebody with a bigger audience, or another business that's growing faster. Somebody who's getting an opportunity that I would have loved to have. And just like anybody else, my brain starts going into crazy mode. Like, what are they doing that I'm not? Am I missing something here? Should I be doing more of any of that? Thing is, there's nothing necessarily wrong with paying attention to other people, but it's look, competition is healthy, right? And I know for me, I've learned a ton from watching what obviously what other people do, people who've walked in my shoes before, people that are bigger and better than me, And when you do see somebody, accomplish something that you haven't done in the past, it really does give you that nerve, that confidence to go, you know what, I could do this. And sometimes that's exactly what we need. We just need to be able to see that somebody's done it before. Like I can give you two for sure right now, very transparently here. And again, if you know me and you've come to know me, one thing I can tell you for sure is when it comes to motorcycles, and I love my motorcycle, been riding a long time. I'm a very, very confident, comfortable rider. I've ridden in blue skies and dry roads, and I've ridden in hailstorms and like torrential downpours and like lightning shows that are the most beautiful thing you've ever seen in the middle of the prairies, but you got nowhere to hide. So you're just riding. And my point is, the reason I say that is, no matter how comfortable I am, every time that rain starts, every time those roads get slick, your brain starts to think a little differently. It starts to process, the environment differently. And then you start questioning, hey, is the road dry? Am I going to be okay? Am I going to be safe? Can I take that turn at the same speed? And the reason I say this is because being on and doing the amount of miles and thousands of miles I've done on the road and crossing the country multiple times, riding with some very, very experienced people, you get somebody ahead of you who's riding in that exact same weather, who's showing you that it's possible. It gives you the confidence to know that it's possible. And that's sometimes all it takes. I mean, the other one I'll bring up real quick here is just, we go hunting in November, myself and a few of my cousins, and you go to the forest and you're out there by yourself. And although we go together, we're spread out amongst, hundreds of acres, 3 guys by yourself. You are alone. And you go out there in the pitch black in the middle of the morning. You get out there early in the morning. You stay out there late at night. Obviously, there's going to be certain times that are restricted when you're not allowed to do things. Anyways, I don't have to get into all that with you. My point that I'm making is, how many people walk into the forest when it's pitch black all by themselves? Your brain starts to wonder, right? Like, what if I fall? What if I get hurt? What if there's a big bear waiting for me that I don't see? What if there's a pack of wolves that are ready to eat me? And as much as I say that kind of comically, it's all very real. So what gives you the confidence? And I can tell you for me, one, it's being there with these guys that have done it many times before that prove to you that it's possible. Two, it's some of my interest that I have in watching and learning more about it and seeing how many people do it. And again, it proves that it's possible. And there really in lies comes the point, right? When you do pay attention to other people, you do see what is possible. So it's a great thing. It's great to see competition. It's great to see people growing. It's great to see what people are doing. And it really gives people a sense of self-confidence that they can do. And that's a wonderful thing. But the problem comes when we stop using other people for ideas and inspiration, Instead, start using them as the measuring stick for our own successes, our own lives. See, because that's when comparison just starts screwing with every decision we make. Because now we're not necessarily building what we want anymore. We're reacting to what somebody else has. And holy shit, do we see this in the real estate business? Actually, yeah, let's have some fun with this one for a minute, right? Because I swear this industry has to be one of the worst for seeing somebody else do something and immediately deciding, yep, well, I guess we're doing that now. I mean, you see a realtor make a listing video where they walk through the front door, point at the camera, turn around, the music changes, and then within 3 weeks, I've seen 17 versions of the exact same video. Then you see somebody who does like that dramatic coffee pour, And so now apparently we all need a coffee shot. Or somebody else sits in the kitchen, talking about the listing, and suddenly everybody's at the kitchen island. Or somebody makes a funny video that does really well, and half the industry decides they're now freaking comedians. Oh, and of course, there's the dancing. Like, I don't know who started the dance and realtor thing, but can we please stop? Like, please, I am begging you. You're asking somebody to trust you with what could be the largest financial transaction of their life, and you're dancing around somebody's kitchen pointing at text bubbles? Come on. What are we doing? Like, look, I'm not saying don't have fun. I mean, please, have a personality. We know this industry could use more personality. I'm asking you, though, think about what you're actually trying to accomplish with the content you're putting out there. Do we really believe that a home seller is sitting there thinking, you know what I'm looking for in the person who's going to negotiate the sale of my $1.4 million house? Rhythm. Can she dance? Can he dance? Does he know the latest TikTok trend? Perfect. Give him the listing. Of course not. And here's where I've got an even bigger problem with all this, okay? We spend so much time complaining that home buyers, home sellers, consumers don't understand the value of a realtor. We talk about commissions being challenged. We talk about people wanting to do all these things themselves and technology replacing parts of the job. Hell, we literally just did an entire episode about Google getting into real estate. We want consumers to view realtors as professionals. Yet, sometimes I look at what our industry puts online and I wonder if we're doing everything possible to convince them otherwise. We can't complain that people don't take the profession seriously when we're simultaneously turning the profession into a joke. Come on. Give people something of value. Let them see what you actually know and how you think. Talk about the negotiation you just worked through or the pricing conversation you had with the seller. Explain something buyers constantly misunderstand. Tell people what you're seeing in the economy and how it's affecting your local market. Talk about the neighborhood you specialize in. How about share stories about situations you've run into and the way you've solved like the problems. Educate people. Yes, have some fun. Yes, let your personality come through. But come on, be you. Because that's the irony in all of this. Everybody's trying so hard to stand out by copying whatever they saw somebody else do. But think about how ridiculous that is. And somebody asked me, Dave, how do I differentiate myself? Then 2 minutes later, they saw, they're like, oh, I saw this realtor in Miami doing these videos, and I think I should start doing the same thing. What does some realtor in Miami have to do with you? And maybe that person's naturally funny, and you're not. I mean, maybe they're loud, and you're naturally more of a reserved person. Or look, there's some people that are incredible on video. Well, your superpower might be sitting across the kitchen table, asking the right questions and making people feel comfortable. Maybe they absolutely love social media, and you'd rather have your teeth pulled than record another Instagram reel. I mean, why are you trying to build their business? Build yours. The more time you spend trying to become somebody else, the less time you are spending figuring out what actually makes you valuable. And that That right there is actually the part I want you thinking about today. Where in your life and your business are you trying to keep up with the Joneses? It could be costing you a lot more than just money. Like every time you change direction based on what somebody else is doing, you're giving away some of your focus. You're giving away some of your time, your confidence. And, eventually, if you do it enough, even a little bit of your identity. And yeah, that could ultimately be costing you business. All right. Time for our usual commercial break here. This episode of the Mindshare Podcast is brought to you by Kits Keep in Touch Systems, your industry leader in client keep in touch marketing that drives more repeat and referral business your way. If you're not using Kits to help you with follow-up, then you're leaving money on the table. And REM, Real Estate Magazine, Canada's go-to for news, insights, and what's actually happening in the Canadian real estate industry. While you're listening, head over to mindshow101.com and grab your free Ultimate Marketing Bundle. And if you're ready to take things to another level, coaching, group training, momentum training, keynote speaking for your next event, reach out. And next up, on September 23rd and 24th, Mindshare 101 is very excited to once again join the Ontario Realtors Care Foundation for their annual motorcycle ride for charity. This ride is the Foundation's flagship fundraiser supporting shelter and food insecurity organizations across Ontario. We depart on September 23rd from Aurora and travel to Calabogie, Ontario. Then on day 2, we rev the engines back up in Calabogie and wrap up our day in Belleville. It's going to be an incredibly fun and exciting 2-day ride for everyone, as it always is. Riders can join us for one day, both days, or a few stops along the way. And the ride is open to everybody, not just realtors. So please visit realtorscareontario.ca/ride to join us. And hey, if you don't ride, but you do want to get involved, please head over to my rider page to donate. Every little bit goes a very long way, and we all thank you in advance. All right, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. Now, look, as we talk about keeping up with the Joneses, I want to take this beyond social media because, really, that's just one example of where this happens, right? We see the exact same thing with the way people build, their businesses. An agent sees somebody build a team and starts wondering if they need to, build one as well. Or, okay, cool. But like before we start designing your team logo and ordering every, matching shirts and like, can we figure out if you can even manage people? Like, do you even want to manage people? Because a team isn't the picture of 12 people standing together smiling from Instagram. You're talking about recruiting and training and coaching and payroll and managing personalities, being responsible for other people's production. Having somebody text you at 10 o'clock at night because they're pissed off about a lead. Do you actually want that business? Or do you like what that business looks like from the outside? Same thing with farming, right? Somebody starts crushing a farm area, so now you think you should farm. Or here's a good one. Somebody launches a podcast and suddenly you're looking at microphones on Amazon. Trust me on that one. Make sure you really want a podcast. We're 399 episodes into this thing as of this episode, okay? And it's the middle of the week as I write and record this thing, and trust me, oftentimes I can think about 17 other things I'd love to be doing instead. And brokerage changes, this is another good one, right? Someone leaves their company and makes this massive announcement we've all seen. I'm so excited to announce the next chapter of my journey. There's the new headshot, the new logo, a long paragraph about alignment and vision and growth and culture. And I'm not saying those are bad things, and how they finally found their new home. Meanwhile, 3 agents sitting at the brokerage they just left are reading the post thinking, shit, am I missing something? Maybe you are. Maybe you're not. But go figure it out based on what your business needs. That's one of the biggest problems I got with comparison. It makes us start questioning things that we weren't questioning 5 minutes ago. You can be completely content with your car until your buddy pulls up in something nicer. Again, like your house was awesome until you walked through your friend's new renovation. Here, just like we just said about the brokerage, you were happy there until somebody announced they were leaving. Your marketing strategy seemed fine until another agent got, 40,000 views of some stupid video where they danced through a listing. Like, your actual situation didn't change. It's just that your perception of it did. And that could get really expensive, especially when we start talking about the money side of keeping up with the Joneses. In fact, there's a book, you might have read this one. There's a book called The Millionaire Next Door. And one of the ideas from it, which just has always stuck with me, is a lot of people who look wealthy aren't necessarily wealthy. What we're seeing is the consumption of wealth. And those are two different things, right? Again, you see that car in the driveway, but you don't see the payment. You see the massive house without knowing about the mortgage. You see the 2-week trip, but you don't see the bank account. Social media has created this unbelievable pressure to look successful. And salespeople, for sure, especially in this industry, feel it in a huge way because this idea that you've got to project success, right? So people believe you're successful enough to hire. And look, yeah, don't get me wrong, from a branding perspective, I get some of the psychology behind that. Like, nobody wants to hire, anybody, let alone a realtor, whose marketing looks like it was, they haven't sold a house since 2007, or like they have no idea what social media is, or they don't know how to do video. I mean, there's just a really huge gap between presenting yourself as a successful professional and spending your life trying to prove something to people. So here's a question worth asking yourself, okay? What exactly are you trying to prove? And who are you trying to prove it to? Like, when you think about the bigger house or that luxury car, the 100,000 followers, or building the team, or winning the award, or becoming a number one, or whatever, like, why do those things matter to you? And by the way, there might be some great answers for that. I love cars. Well, okay, if you genuinely love cars too, and you've worked your ass off to buy the ones you've always wanted, then get the damn car and enjoy it. If traveling is one of the things you value most in life, like, go see the world. You want to build a massive company? Build the shit out of it. If buying yourself a nice watch after hitting a goal makes you happy, enjoy the watch. I'm certainly not here trying to tell you not to want things. Look, you know me. I love goals. I want people chasing the shit out of things. I want you making massive money. I want you building something you're proud of and enjoying the rewards that come from all the work you're putting in. But I simply want you to make sure that the life you're working so hard to build is actually your life. And again, that's where mapping comes into all of this for me, right? You've heard me talk about mapping. I've talked about it a million times. But think about what we're really doing when we go through that process. We're figuring out what you want personally. We're figuring out what you want professionally. We're figuring out what you want financially. We're talking about family, health, time, business, experiences, whatever else matters to you. And then we create a plan to work backwards to figure out what needs to happen, what actions need to happen, what activities will actually get you there, and where those actions, those activities need to live in your schedule. That's the roadmap. I'm at A. I want to get to B. What has to happen to get there? But at no point in that process do I ask, hey, based on all these things you're doing and all these plans you've got and all these desires you have, what's that realtor you follow on Instagram trying to accomplish this year? I'm not asking you because I don't care, and you shouldn't either. I want to know what you want. Because once you're clear on that, you got something that's finally useful, something you can measure, something we can look at our decisions and go, am I doing the right things? Am I tracking? Am I measuring? Am I adjusting to make sure I'm on track? I mean, listen, maybe building a team makes perfect sense because it gets closer to the business of life you've mapped out. Maybe spending, $5,000 a month on lead generation is exactly what your plan calls for. Maybe, I won't go for the dancing video, but maybe, video is a huge opportunity because it's how the audience that you want to reach actually prefers to consume their information. And hey, Maybe take a Friday afternoons off so you could pick your kids up from school matters more than you squeezing another transaction in your year. Okay, good. That is the whole point. Your scoreboard needs to belong to you. We talked a few episodes ago, actually, about staring at the wrong scoreboard in this business, right? And again, I think this is another version of the same problem right here. You can't use somebody else's life as the scoreboard for yours. There's always going to be somebody with more. Always. You finally make $1 million, you're going to meet somebody making 10, I promise you. You get 10,000 followers and so, on Instagram, you will see somebody who's got $1 million. You buy that brand new Porsche you've had your eye on, and all of a sudden the guy beside you, goes out and buys a Lambo. Then you finally get the Lambo, and some asshole flies over you in his private jet. Like, seriously, where does it end? It doesn't. That's why keeping up with the Joneses is such a losing game. The Joneses keep changing. And now the algorithm can introduce you to a brand new one every 30 seconds. And you're literally chasing a finish line that moves every time you open your phone. Then you ask why you're so exhausted? And even worse, it distracts you from the stuff you actually need to get done. Your stuff. Yours. Comparison has definitely quietly become another form of procrastination for a lot of people. We could spend an unbelievable amount of time scrolling, watching what everybody else is doing, studying their strategies, saving their videos, listening to the podcast, buying the courses, screenshotting posts, debating whether we should try whatever seems to be working for them. Hey, nothing wrong with learning. But at some point, close Instagram. Ask yourself whether you actually made your calls today. Did you follow up with the people you said you would? Did you talk to your database? Did you ask for the business? Did you write that email that I tell you that needs to go out at minimum once a month? Or the blog post to take advantage of AI? Everybody's asking how to take advantage of AI. Are you consistent with the blog? Think about it. We do all of this stuff. We go through all these things. Did you finish the proposal? What about go to the gym? Oh, I want to be in better shape. Oh, I'd love to spend more time with my kids. Did you spend more time with your kids? Like, are you doing the things that your plan says you're supposed to be doing? Because that right there is the stuff that actually needs your attention. And you gotta know, as much as I say this to you, I say this to myself all the time, right? I watch my competition. Of course I do. I watch what's going on in my industry. Of course I do. I pay attention. I watch what people are accomplishing. I know what I want to accomplish. I'd be stupid. We'd all be stupid to say there's nothing I can learn from anybody else. But we also have to remind ourselves sometimes. And I say to me, but hey, Dave, stay in your lane. Take the idea, learn the lesson, pay attention to what they're doing. Be curious about why it's working, but then come back to your map. What am I building? See, that's the question. Because I could spend the next 10 years chasing somebody else's version of success and eventually wake up to discover that I've built something I never actually wanted. And I don't want to do that. And I don't want you doing that either. So here's what I suggest as an action step for you this week. And again, pen to paper. Take a look at the things you're chasing right now. Write down the business goals, the financial stuff, some of your personal goals, and even the material things you want. Then go through that list and ask yourself this one question. Why do I want this? And hey, don't give yourself some fluffy bullshit answer you're supposed to give, okay? Nobody else needs to see this list. So cut the bullshit. Give yourself a real answer. It's like when somebody told me the other day, he's like, yeah, I want to be the top. I want to be the best. I'm like, why? Because I want to be the top 1%, man. I said, why? So I want people to know me as the best. I want to be the man. And I was like, you know what, dude? Hey, if that's stroking your ego a little bit, that makes you feel good, and that's working for you, straight up. Okay, I get it. I like the drive of motivation. I mean, hell, we still went deeper than that because there's much deeper rooted reasons for it. But if that's one of them, that's fine. Write it down. I mean, look, maybe something matters because of what it will do for your family. Maybe it's something you've wanted since you were a kid. I mean, we all have that. You know, maybe reaching the goal gives you some sort of freedom or security or an experience you've always dreamed about. Like, awesome. But if you get to something on that list and you realize you actually have no idea why you want it, I'd spend some time on that one. Then do the same on it on your business. Look at what you've added. Where you're spending money, what you started doing simply because everybody else seems to be doing it. Think about whether those things actually fit your map or whether you just picked them up along the way while watching somebody else's business grow. And especially when it comes to your marketing, like really take a hard look at the stuff you're putting out there and ask yourself, does this actually look and sound like me? Because that's what AI is doing to everybody right now. Everybody sounds like a robot. Everybody sounds identical. You can smell AI from a million miles away. I can tell when you used AI to write it. And don't get me wrong, you want to go ahead and have it help you with creativity and have it help you kind of brainstorm an idea, fine. There's a lot of great things it can do to be a co-pilot for you, but it cannot be your writer. It cannot be your voice. It should not be you. Pay attention to that. Does this actually look and sound like me? See, because if somebody who really knows you watches one of your videos, do they immediately recognize the same person they would get if they sat down with you for a coffee or a beer or whatever? Or are they wondering, when the hell you became a dancing comedian? Your marketing is supposed to amplify who you already are. You shouldn't have to invent a character every time somebody turns the camera on. Your experience, your perspectives, your stories, your personality, your way of communicating, and the way you serve people, they're already doing the things that make you different. And there's only one version of that combination. And that right there is your differentiator. So use it. And the next time you catch yourself scrolling through somebody else's life and wondering whether you're falling behind, put the phone down for a second and take a look around at your own life. Look at what you built. Look at the people around you. What matters to you. And where you decided you wanted to go. Pull out your map if you need to. Get yourself focused again, then get back to work. Because the Joneses, they're not paying your mortgage. They're not raising your kids, and they're not running your business or living your life. You are. So stay in your lane. Get comfortable with who you are. Get really clear about what you actually want, and spend your time doing the work that's going to help you get there. Let everybody else keep watching everybody else. You, go get your shit done. I'm David Greenspan, reminding you to build mindshare because mindshare equals market share. And don't forget to head over to realtorscareontario.ca/ride to join us on the ride and or by going to my sponsorship page to donate. Every little bit helps. Thank you to Kits and Rem for sponsoring the Mindshare podcast, and thank you for tuning in. I'll catch you next week.